Aya! Welcome! Well, we didn't have one records roundup in the month of April. Plenty of other record collecting and music collecting videos, of course, if you've been following the channel. But we are back with a vengeance for records roundup today with edition number 83, as this is my record store day haul, as well as other things. We'll get to the RSD releases and I'll talk about the stuff that I didn't get to pick up that I wanted, because I didn't score 100% success rate this year. But we'll get onto that later, so please stick around because I've got some interesting non-RSD records to show you first. And let's just get going with it, with this 7-inch single from the Acid Jazz web store. And it is a split single, Matt Berry and New Street Adventure with Silver Rings. So Silver Rings is a track on Matt Berry's latest album, Heard Noises. I've shown that album and also another single that came from it on previous records roundups. So this being a split single, it's got Matt Berry's original version, or maybe some sort of 7-inch edit, looking at the credits on the back, on side A, and side B is a cover by New Street Adventure. I don't know anything about them really, but they're signed to Acid Jazz. They might be like a neo-soul band, maybe, something along those lines. Good track. All I can really say about it, it's an Acid Jazz exclusive, this. Came unsealed. Very bold and eye-catching Acid Jazz centre label there. Very nice. Matt Berry and New Street Adventure, Silver Rings.
Put my things in a box, mail them back to me, my Red Wing boots, a couple of tops, but more importantly, I want my heart back, I want my head back again. You make up back silver rings left under my bed, that photo book that you made, but I can't look at again. I want my heart back, I want my head back again. We'll make a scene, I'll make a fuss.
Onto a pickup that I made from Amazon. I don't tend to buy an awful lot of vinyl from Amazon, but now and again they have the best price for something that might be a little bit steep on, say, Discogs Marketplace. And this album here, I've really been dithering and going back and forth on whether I want this for getting on for 2 years. I know, with me, normally it's like I decide I want something and then I buy it as soon as I can, but with this, I wasn't sure that I really wanted it, but it's been £19.99 at Amazon for ages now. That's with free postage, of course, for being a Prime member. And it's a soundtrack album. I don't own an awful lot of soundtrack albums, and it's a TV soundtrack one, which is even rarer, really, in my collection. The music on it is good. It's atmospheric. You know, it's not something that I would say is massively to my taste, but the programme that it came from, and this is a reissue by the way, is brilliant. And I thought, you know what, for £20 I'm just going to bite the bullet. I've dithered way too long on this one, and I'm talking about this soundtrack to Smiley's People, the BBC spy drama from what year was it? Early 80s, I think. It'll say on screen when this album first came out, and presumably when the TV series came out. Now, Smiley's People, based on a novel by John le Carré. It was the sequel, the follow-up, although in John le Carré's book chronology there was something in between. But the sequel to Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, which I don't think ever got a soundtrack issue. The film version, which is a lot more recent, did. But the original BBC TV series, I don't think, has had a soundtrack issue. Tinker Tailor is one of my all-time favourite TV series, and Smiley's People, as a follow-up, it's almost as good. If I recommend one, I recommend them both. I think probably Tinker Tailor just edges it, but this, if you're into your spy Cold War drama, then Smiley's People is brilliant. The composer of this is, what's his name, Patrick Gowers. He's done other things for TV and film. This is a 2020 issue, I believe, on Demon Records. I've only really got it because I love the programme, but it's just nice to get another soundtrack, really. I'm going to get this open because this is out on coloured vinyl. Looks to me like it's a gatefold sleeve as well, but I won't fiddle with the shrink and show you all that. I'm sure there is images on Discogs, for one, that will give you a better look at the centre gatefold. But nice inner sleeve there with the Smiley's People logo on it and track listing on that side. And there's the colour. On camera it's looking sort of dark but kind of transparent blue. What do they credit it as on the hype sticker? Blue Diamond. Very nice indeed. I like that it's got all the cast list as well. I mean, some massive names in. Alec Guinness is obviously George Smiley, but plenty of other people that you will have heard of, particularly if you have a certain age. Eileen Atkins, Kurt Jurgens, who I think was in a Bond film, Bill Patterson, Michael Elphick, Maureen Lipman's in this, Bernard Hepton, Beryl Reid, Michael Lonsdale. Yeah, almost everyone in the cast list I do know of, from not just this and Tinker Tailor, but from many other classic films and TV shows of the last, 50, 60 years, really. So I'm delighted to have got Smiley's People, the soundtrack by Patrick Gowers. Next up is an anniversary release from Time Slave Recordings via Bandcamp, and it is the 10th anniversary, I'm pretty certain, reissue of the debut album from Time Cop 1983. Very slidey outer sleeve that Time Slave sent me. This is Childhood Memories, the 10th anniversary edition, and it's got a bonus track on it. I don't know if it's been remastered at all. I'm assuming it probably hasn't been, as stuff like synthwave, which is what this genre is, by the way, doesn't tend to really need remastering as how we know remastering. I think this came out in a couple of vinyl variants when it was issued a month or two back. I've been holding on to this for quite a while. I've not listened to it yet. I do try and stay complete or thereabouts on Time Cop 1983. I've got, I think, all of his proper albums over either vinyl, mini disc or cassette, and there's like one or two extended EPs as well of his that I've got. But we'll have a look at the vinyl while we're here. I can't remember what variant this is, but it's the one that it did sell out pretty quick, actually, as did the other vinyl variant, I think. Oh no, that's lovely, that. Don't know what you class it as. I mean, it's some sort of red and black spatter on maybe transparent yellow. It might say on screen. The notes for some of these records I've written ages ago because I've just been waiting to be able to film this video. So I can't really remember what I've wrote, but you're looking at it on screen right now. Love Time Cop 1983, Dutch synthwave artist. I'm sure he'll have a new album of some description out at some point. As I say, I think I'm up to date on his studio albums. I might be wrong there. I keep my eye open, and as soon as there's a Time Cop 1983 announcement from Bandcamp, I generally jump on it. That is the 10th anniversary Childhood Memories. Now to a couple of pickups from a band you may have heard of called The Beatles. This one was from Flashback Records. I can't actually remember how much this was. Now I'm in a stage with my Beatles collection where I'm kind of doubling, in some cases tripling up from CD and vinyl now as well. This is something that I've had for a long time on actual CD plus Blu-ray. It's a brilliant set, that, because it's got the album on CD and then it's got basically all the promo videos and bits on the Blu-ray, and the book within it is really high quality. Of course, I'm talking about one. I think this might be one of the D'Agostini partwork issues. I haven't got my glasses on. Actually, I don't think it is. The next one is, I know that. This might just be a fairly recent reissue. I'm not going to get it all out, as it's only black vinyl, even though it did come unsealed. Don't really need to keep this shrink on, as there's no hype sticker to conserve. But Beatles 1, you all know what it is. It's every UK and US #1 that the Beatles had from 1962 to 1970. And it was basically the biggest album of the decade when it originally came out in the year 2000. Really love the CD and Blu-ray 1 Plus edition, that's called, that came out, that was nearly 10 years ago, I think. Really recommend that if you ever see it for a good price. Always fancied having it on vinyl as well. That is one. But I did say there's more Beatles, and here's the other one. And this one is a little bit more exciting to me than getting one on vinyl, as I'd been particularly wanting this on vinyl for quite a while, especially as this is like a follow-up to a previous album that I've got on CD and LP as well. It is On Air, Live at the BBC Volume 2. 3 LP set, this, although the third LP is just bonus interview tracks really, which I can't remember if they're on the CD version or not. I'd have thought they were, but I'm doubting myself now. But either way, that's what the third LP consists of. And there's little spoken word bits and interview clips throughout anyway, like with the original Live at the BBC. So I've got the CD box set, which reissued both volumes 1 and 2 together, and I picked up the first Live at the BBC on vinyl about a year or so back, maybe a little under. So I've been looking out for this at the right price for ages now. It's from the D'Agostini Partwork series from around 2017, I think. Give you a quick look. I'll have to be a little bit careful, as it's a triple gatefold. I don't want records to start flying out or for the sleeves start tearing, because the records are pretty heavy if they start to fall out. Yeah, that's about as good a look as I've got to be able to give you for that one. The price of this was pretty reasonable actually. It was a fair bit under what other people on Discogs were selling it for. Yes, it's a Discogs purchase, this, by the way. I think including postage it was about £37, £38, which for a triple album isn't bad at all really. The Beatles collection on vinyl, to my satisfaction, is now becoming quite considerable and almost complete. There is an exception, well, one exception that I can think of right off the bat, and I have ordered it from somewhere, but I'm going to show that in a special video later on this month. But there we go, On Air, Live at the BBC, Vol 2. Also from Discogs, here's something else. I've been looking out for a decently priced copy of this for ages. I do mean ages. And I just refused to pay what a lot of Discogs sellers were asking for it. I say a lot, there was never that many people selling it. But I'm a collector of this group, and I always wanted this album. It's their earliest work, but you can't call it a studio album. It was originally like a demo cassette, really. It is Dung 4 by In Spiral Carpets. So this got its first vinyl issue a few years before this one. This one is from 2018 on the Tiger Bay label, but it also got an issue on vinyl, I think maybe 4 years previously, as part of Record Store Day. And then the 4 tracks that finish up on side B were actually issued on a bonus 7-inch. So I didn't really care which version I got. Both of them, this one and the older version on vinyl, always seem to be pretty expensive and only from international sellers on Discogs, and I never saw it on eBay either. But then a brand new seller on Discogs, and I'm always a little bit worried about using a new seller with no feedback, but I thought, you know, for the price I will take a punt here, because if anything went wrong I would eventually get my money back via PayPal. But no, this was shipped out nice and quick, so of course I left him some good feedback. And the price, including postage, was just under £20, which, believe it or not, is way cheaper than I'd ever seen this before. It is a gatefold sleeve. The vinyl is just black vinyl, I'm pretty certain of that. Demos, early tracks, Spiral Carpets, before they got signed properly to Mute, and then they had their own sort of vanity label, Cow, operated by Mute, of course. The only Inspirals album now missing is their self-titled one, which to date remains their most recent studio album. That was originally in 2004, and then the vinyl edition came out about a decade or so later. And there again, like this one, it goes for quite a lot on the aftermarket and is seemingly quite rare at the same time. As I had done with this, I'll keep looking out for it, and maybe I'll get lucky and get it for a good price, like I got Dung 4. Now to pick up from Revived Vinyl Records, who are in Cheshire. And I was really pleased when I saw that this had been announced, because it does fill a hole in a collection that I wasn't sure would ever get filled, really. And it is actually the last remaining Yellow studio album that I needed on vinyl. This one is Touch Yellow. Quite expensive, this. It is a double album. This is the one out of Yellow's pretty extensive discography that, although it did come out on vinyl originally, the prices for original copies are ridiculous. And there was a big Yellow reissue campaign a couple, 3 years ago or so. I'd already got all the albums that were available, either original copies or 1 or 2 reissues in there by that point, so it was a campaign I largely ignored. This was one that just didn't get announced with them, but it has finally been released. The original release date, it says on screen, so I don't know why I'm worrying about it. 2 LPs, 15th anniversary it's classed as, so 2025, that'll be 2010, or maybe 2009, if they're running a bit late with the anniversary advertising, but around that turn of the decade. I will get this open. I want to look at both discs as they are coloured. Once again, this looks like it could be gatefold. Yellow are brilliant. I've talked about them not for a long time on the channel, because really it was a collection that I'd almost completed it a long time ago. I just was waiting or hoping that this might one day get a vinyl reissue, and then today here we are. Presumably this is disc 1 and it's on gold vinyl. It's that kind of yellowy brown that is classed as gold. Very nice still. And then disc 2, another nice inner sleeve there, is out on, unsurprisingly, silver, or really grey. So yeah, got all the Yellow studio albums now. So delighted about that this did finally get a reissue, as it was a hole in not just mine, but I'm sure a lot of people's Yellow collections. It's not their most recent album. They've released at least another 2 or 3 since this originally came out, and of course I do own those and have shown them on the channel in previous years. But that is Touch Yellow by the Swiss duo Yellow.
I see you walk, baby, walk. I hear you talk, baby, talk. I see you dance, baby, dance. Then make that chance, baby, chance.
Yeah, your eyes can't
Now then, you've waited patiently, I thank you for that, but we can now move on to my record store day pickups, of which there is 5. I think that's the most I've ever got for one record store day, at least at the start. I have picked up record store day releases down the line on discounts, or just because I've suddenly decided I want something, but on the day, and it wasn't on the day, it was the Monday when everything started being sold online. Absolutely mental. I mean, there'll be some people watching this who'll know exactly what I'm referring to, how stressful it was just trying to get websites to work. There was crashes, people getting booted out of queues, and just general mayhem really. And I've seen some apologies from certain record sellers on Instagram the following day saying, yeah, we need to sort our systems out, we'll do better next year, we promise. Before I get on to what I did get, the ones that I didn't get, I was shooting for 8, although really it was 7, because there's one that I know I can get cheaper down the line. But the ones I didn't get were the All Things Must Pass Zoetrope by George Harrison, which I'm gutted about, as I really wanted to collect the George Harrison Zoetropes. I got Wonderwall Music and Electronic Sound last year, a few months after Record Store Day, and I figured, you know what, I'm going to collect George Harrison this way, as it looks like they might be releasing one Harrison album on Zoetrope a year, and I underestimated how popular that'd be, to be honest. With its price, it being up there around the £90 to £100 mark, I didn't figure it'd be massively in demand, but it was. I am very disappointed about that, and I refuse to pay what are still extortionate prices for it on the aftermarket. It's just not fair that flippers can get this and then try and sell it for double, near triple what it's worth. Also, I missed out on Take Cover by Madness, which I was quite disappointed about, not as much as George Harrison though. With Madness, I've collected the studio albums, and I've also got a pretty comprehensive 4 LP, I think it is, compilation. Now the Take Cover album, which is an album of cover versions, I wanted it. If I would have been able to get it on that Monday evening, I would have done, and I would have been happy to show it today. But in hindsight, I'm not too bothered. I get the feeling it might get reissued in a more sort of generic black vinyl form one day, and even if it doesn't, you know, it doesn't matter really, because I don't collect the previous Madness Record Store Day releases, which are basically B-sides compilations. I've been tempted to try and pick them up. They always seem a little bit pricey, so I'm kind of mildly disappointed. And then the other one, the 8th album that I could have actually got, it was available still at many places, but I didn't really want to pay full price for it on the day, was the eponymous House of Love album on orange vinyl, I think. I will endeavour to pick that up, but that's something that it wasn't that popular on the day. I think I can probably get that maybe on a discount down the line, so maybe look out for that coming up in a future records roundup. So now I can show you what I did get. 5 of my 7/8. First one was from Vinyl Tap in Huddersfield. They didn't have much left that I wanted when I went on their site a little bit after 8 o'clock on that Monday night, but they did have Monaco, I Got a Feeling, as far as ranking my record store day wants, simply because this is New Order related. This was up there at number 1 really. It's not going to be anyone else's number 1. This is another thing that really, a bit like the House of Love, it hasn't sold out absolutely everywhere, and it may end up going cheap, even though it is a limited edition of only 1,000 copies, and I believe that is a worldwide number, not just UK or Europe. But it being New Order related, Monaco being Peter Hook and David Potts, of course, yes, I wanted this instantly, that I didn't want to wait for this. And then if it had, by some miracle, been a really sought after title and I'd missed out, unless I paid flipper money, then I'd be kicking myself for the rest of my life, basically. So yeah, got this from Vinyl Tap. I get the feeling it's probably a prelude to Music on Vinyl, who have released this version, for them to reissue their second and to date final album, the self-titled Monaco. Music on Vinyl did reissue Music on Pleasure on vinyl last year, so maybe this is sort of like a teaser for that. And it's a nice teaser as well, because This originally came out as a CD single only, but it was withdrawn from the UK market certainly at the last minute, and I think it was able to get a release in Europe, but it meant that it was quite a rare single. Now it's out on 12-inch green vinyl for the first time. Lovely stuff there from Monaco.
You left me waiting all alone, so blue. Take me to our promised land while I find someone new. But I can't even stand myself without you. But there is nothing I can do. I'm a fool for hurting you. And the only thing I care about never will come true. 'Cause I've got a feeling I can't believe in. I'll never change, so turn around and walk away. Yeah, I've got a feeling I can't believe in. I'll never change, so turn around and walk away.
Okay, now for the big one. This is the one that originally it was in my maybe section rather than definitely, pun intended there, as you'll see. Just because of the price, I thought, you know what, if this is going to be too expensive, then, you know, I'll leave it. I've already got it on CD, but I was able to get this from Bending Sound in Bangor, Northern Ireland. It is Time Flies, 1994 to 2009 by Oasis. So it's the Oasis singles compilation. It's a box set for all intents and purposes. One of the big name releases of Record Store Day in my opinion. It's sold out in a lot of places, but not everywhere. I do feel quite lucky that I managed to pick this up, but it's one of those that I think maybe even now as you're watching this, you could possibly shop round for it, and it shouldn't be too much more than what it was originally selling for. I got it for £95, that was with free postage from Northern Ireland. I've seen it, I think, just under 90, and I've seen it for well over 100 on the other proper Record Store Day record shops and websites. It's coloured vinyl, however, I'm not going to get this open now because you know what I like to do with a box set? I like to do a special video where I can show you the vinyl and talk a little more about it in detail. So that's what I'm going to do. So come back to me on the channel sometime next week and we'll sit down and we'll have a closer look at the Time Flies Record Store Day reissue box set. Please join me for that. But obviously, needless to say, really delighted that I did manage to get this in the end.
Don't be scared. You'll never change what's been and count. May your smile shine on. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Your destiny may keep you warm. 'Cause all of the stars are fading away. Just try not to worry. You'll see them someday. Just say what you need and be on your way. And stop crying your heart out.
Finishing off my RSD haul is 3 here that I've had to wait a little bit longer for because they're from Denmark and iMusic obviously. One of these was a definite. It was probably number 2 on my list after Monaco because I collect everything by them. The other 2 were more, I would say, maybes, but it was nice to get them. iMusic's website was having an absolute mare that Monday night after Record Store Day. Yeah, we can get the little shop style receipt in there as we often do. I'll show you probably at least in the case of the actual vinyl, the least interesting one, although I think this did sell out everywhere relatively quickly. It wasn't one that I felt I really had to get, but when I saw that I could still pick it up once I'd eventually got the iMusic website to work and it took the best part of an hour, and I was going around dozens of other online retailers as well, ones I'd used before, even a few that I hadn't ever used before, just scrabbling to try and get everything I wanted. But this one, I'm pleased I got it, even though I don't think it's the most exciting of the bunch, but it is the Peel Sessions 1979 to 1983 by Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark. So this is just out on black vinyl. It's a reissue. I think this came out on CD quite some years ago. But it's from a nice period in OMD. It's basically from kind of their early years to the sort of Dazzle Ships era, I think, really, 1983. It's on the Virgin Records label. Nice hype sticker there with the Record Store Day logo. There'll be tracks on here I'm familiar with, probably most, if not all of them, because I do own all the early OMD albums and many of the late ones as well. It's that kind of mid-period of the mid to late 80s that I'm still missing. I'm just waiting for them to get reissued, really. But of course you've got stuff like Enola Gay on here, Genetic Engineering, Bunker Soldiers. There's 2 versions of that on here, by the way. Probably sort of one of my least required of the 7/8 for me, but still happy that I got it, and I think the price was quite reasonable. I'm not going to get into prices too much, as they all vary to some degree depending on where you got your RSD stuff from. Penultimate Record Store Day pickup was one that it was kind of in the maybe pile initially, but I kind of shunted it to the definite pile, or the definite section I should say. And it is this album from Dusty Springfield. It is Reputation, and the reason that I really decided yes, this is more than a maybe, is because it's largely produced, not totally, but a lot of the tracks are produced by Julian Mendelssohn and Pet Shop Boys. Nothing Has Been Proved was a single from here, In Private as well. That was also a track from the excellent biopic Scandal, which came out around the same time as this album originally did, which was 1990, or 89 actually. They've got a few copyright years on here. I did get a Dusty album for Record Store Day 2 years ago, Cameo, and I kind of fancied collecting more of her work, and I still may. It might be a collection that I kind of decide to focus on in the future, but just at the moment I just like to pick up her stuff now and again and have the odd album of hers, and this is only the second one I've got, but it's one with a Pet Shop Boys influence, and Pet Shop Boys have worked on it among others, and it was kind of a comeback album for Dusty as well. I'll get this open, as this should be coloured vinyl. Pink inner, and you can probably guess what the vinyl colour will be. Yeah, it's quite a nice light salmon pink, would you say? Probably looking a bit washed out on camera, but me standing here, it's nice. It's not transparent, it's solid, but it's just a sort of nice light pink, really. I like that a lot. There we go, that is Reputation from Dusty Springfield.
Get to
And finally, here's one that, along with Monaco, which I got, and George Harrison, which I didn't, and I suppose to an extent Oasis, I'm certainly a collector of this group, and this is one I think it'll get reissued as a non-RSD thing eventually, because it's too important of a release, really, in my opinion, for it just to be limited to Record Store Day. But it is Volume 2 of Sci-Fi Lullabies by Suede. Now, Sci-Fi Lullabies is an excellent B-sides compilation. Originally came out 96, 97, and finally there's been a follow-up, and this one, it collects, is it all of them? I don't think it'll be every single one, but it's a collection of 19 B-sides and bonus tracks from the period 1997 to 2023, and it's also got the previously unreleased track Blinded. Once again, a nice hype sticker with the RSD logo on it. It is a 2 LP set, I think. You'd imagine so, with it having 19 tracks on it. I'll get this open because it's not black vinyl. But yeah, I do buy everything of Suede's. I've got all their studio albums. I've got their quite comprehensive singles compilation on LP as well, and of course I've got the Sci-Fi Lullabies, the first volume. Yeah, it is 2 LPs, which I thought it would be. Both of them are the same, and both of them are, of course, as Suede like to do, on crystal clear vinyl there. Great stuff for them to release another B-sides compilation, as Suede have put out some brilliant B-sides that are arguably as strong as many of their A-sides and album tracks, really. So great to get them all compiled. Well, not all, but the majority of them compiled in one place here. Sci-Fi Lullabies Volume 2 wraps up my Record Store Day 2025 pickups.
There's lots on the bed where they broke you. They broke you, but you wouldn't bend. You always have change for the waiter. You think he's your friend. It's time to stand from the page and let's rip up this perfect day. It's time to push it away and let's rip up this perfect day. When the sadness in you meets the sadness in me, let's start changing our lives. When the sadness in you meets the sadness in me, let's start changing our lives.
And there we go. Great to be back doing another records roundup. I've been holding off on this one just so that I can get the rest of my RSD stuff in the mail, and today was the day for that, of course. There's been plenty of other music and record collecting videos over April, and there will no doubt be plenty more over May. Of that, have no fear. But it's good to get back into the records roundup swing of things, and I look forward to seeing what Records Roundup 84 will bring, whenever that may come out. Thank you all for watching. I want to give special thanks to my subscribers and patrons. I'm going to go now. Loads to listen to. Don't know what I'm going to start with, because I can't wait to hear it all. The beauty of record collecting, you know, when you've got a big bundle, it's just nice to be spoilt for choice, really. So I'm going to go away and listen to my RSD and non-RSD pickups. And of course, I do hope that all of you will join me again next time for my next record collecting video. Cheers, everyone. See ya!